When Lost Records Bloom and Rage, a successor to Life is Strange from Dontnod, was announced, I wasn't really drawn to it. I was drawn to Life is Strange back in 2015 because it was at the height of the narrative genre, with Telltale still pumping out choice-driven narrative games. With Lost Records now arriving in 2025, I feel the excitement for these games have wavered. I honestly would not have jumped into this game at launch without it being part of the PlayStation Plus Extra program. My biggest problem so far with Tape 1 is that nothing really happens. There are some moments of action and mystery, but it feels like nothing substantial happened until the end of the episode. Of course it ends on a cliffhanger with Part 2 releasing in April, but even then I can't really say I'm dying to play it. Will I check it out and see how it all plays out? Yeah, probably. Though the game only has 2 main episodes, it feels like it will run about the same time as a Life is Strange title, but instead of it being divided into 5 episodes, it's 2. The story revolves around Swan and her summer break in her teenage years before moving away in 1995. There is a present-day story to this as well, and this is how the game begins. Swan is returning to her hometown to catch up with friends that have reached out to her after all this time. While the past in 1995 plays like a traditional third-person narrative adventure, the present day is in first person. I like this dynamic, but there really isn't any reason to it other than a different perspective. The game is constantly switching back and forth between present and past, and it can get annoying at times when you're invested in one era or another. Like, I want to see what happens in the past, but we get taken out of the experience by discussing something else in the present. Swan is an awkward character, and it seems too much so sometimes. Early on, Swan finds 3 other friends that are with her for the rest of the experience. Nora is a member of a band who is really pretty foul-mouthed. Autumn, who is also in the band, is a little more even-keeled. And then there's Kat, who I found to be the most likable of the 3 friends. All of them have their own good and bad moments, and some can be more annoying than others. The 90s themes are one of the game's strongest aspects. There aren't any smartphones or social media to post on. There are video stores, landline phones, camcorders, and even references to movies and bands from the era. Speaking of the camcorder, this is a major part of the game and how all of the collectibles work. Swan loves recording stuff, and maybe a little too much. It can certainly get obsessive when you think about all of the things she's recording. Like, how does she have this much tape to record on? She actually never switches out the tape in the camcorder. It's really not that important. When in this camera view, there is a slight annoyance that Swan doesn't keep the camera straight, and I get that it's supposed to evoke the shaky footage of so many home videos of the time, but when trying to record something, it is annoying. Thankfully, this can be switched off in the menus, which I did about halfway through. When recording, memoirs are created for items and people. These memoirs can be edited, rearranged, and even more in the menus. Wanting to record everything brought out the completionist in me, as I wanted to make sure I collected everything. Just like in Life is Strange, there is a collectibles mode where your choices don't impact the story, and you can go for the remaining memoirs. For trophy enthusiasts, there's a bit more required here than in Life is Strange. Certain actions will need to be met while also filling out the memoirs list. Both tapes also share the same trophy list, so the platinum can't be obtained until the release of Tape 2. Dialogue choices are made like many others in this genre, but I did enjoy the moments where while you can be silent, if you wait long enough, new dialogue options may arise. It's important to hear people out, as you may want to select the first option you are given, but you might find a better one. In the present, you can reminisce about items you find in the environment. This is neat to find out a little bit more about Swan and her friend's backstory, but the dialogue that accompanies this is out of context and didn't make much sense to me most times. I honestly don't remember any of the options playing a part in either character development or the larger story. Early on, I mentioned nothing really happens. I mean, things happen like finding some keys or helping the band play, but nothing feels substantial, and I kept waiting for a big bomb to drop to keep going. One bomb does eventually drop, but it's not until the end of the episode. But even then, it wasn't a big enough revelation that gripped me. I didn't feel that sense of, I need to play the next episode right now, that I felt with the original Life is Strange. I just constantly kept waiting for something to make me enjoy the characters or care about them. I didn't see many moments where Swan and her friends actively disagreed with anything either. Only one moment towards the end that I can think of really led to a disagreement. But most times one character brings up an idea or a suggestion and everybody loves it. None of them dislike one another, and that doesn't build any tension or turmoil on how these friends are going to grow together. There are some supernatural elements that play out in the episode, but none of that really gets unraveled so far. The game teeters on the line of social issues that are popular today, but from my choices, none were explicitly mentioned. Though interestingly enough, the recent pandemic is a part of the story. Mostly the story just plays it safe, and I think this led me to be not as invested in its characters. There can be some creepy and almost unsettling moments, but it's quickly eradicated as the story progresses. There are no high stakes or life changing elements that could keep me thinking, how is this going to play out? Even small problems teenagers face, like maybe I'll get in trouble with my parents, didn't feel substantial. Also, for a game titled Lost Records and the history of the studio with these types of games, I expected a lot more in terms of a soundtrack. There is some music that brings the experience of playing the game together, but nothing on the level of the developer's previous works. I know it's not a complete experience yet, as no one has gotten their hands on Tape 2, but Lost Records Bloom and Rage has a lot of ground to make up. From its characters and story progression, and not to be too harsh, but I just felt bored at times playing. It will absolutely be a slow start for some players. It just takes forever to get anywhere, and while I feel like it's setting up its characters for a bigger moment, I'm still waiting for the payoff.